And welcome everybody to the pregame show. It's called Yardprep here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am your host, Louis Sung, and I am joined by Eric Weideke. Ethan Skolnick is going to be at the stadium. He may try to pop in here a little bit later. I am in the back seat of my truck. For anybody who is wondering, I am not drinking. I am not showing and driving. Drinking and driving. I might as well be. If I'm doing a stream while I'm driving, I might as well be drinking and driving. And speaking of Ethan Skolnick, I am going ahead and adding him here. He is driving. Oh my gosh, he is driving and showing. Okay, well, he's not producing. He's not producing.
I'm just getting as close as I can get, before I lose connection. So there you go.
All right. Well, I mean, hey, listen, I take it.
The connection's terrible. I had a bad feeling about this. Hold on. I don't think it's gonna work. Unfortunately, I did my best. Hold on, I'm gonna try. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Lewis can't.
Yeah, Eric sounds fine. Actually, I can hear Eric.
I think it's Lewis at this point. I think it's you. I think you and me are good.
I don't know how. Okay, well, let's figure this out. Lewis, are you there? Eric and I can have a conversation. I don't know about you though. Hold on.
I mean, I don't know what happened. I have my hotspot right here on my phone, but for whatever reason, it was just not wanting to play along. But I think I'm back, so that's a good thing.
Let's see. All right, let's see. I mean, I'm close. I can't guarantee how long I can stay on here, though, for a variety of reasons. One, this is highly illegal, and two, my connection sucks. It's going to get worse the closer I get to the stadium. So I'm literally
we're actually getting away from the stadium now.
I'm worried about you, Ethan. You went emo earlier this week. Now you're streaming and driving,
and now he's gone. He did the highly illegal thing. All right. So before we get into anything, I just want to go ahead and mention. And this show is brought to you, such as it is, by PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is the revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues, whether that's the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, one of each. It's up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares, special Taco Tuesday promos, Flex Friday specials where you can get your money back if you lose or multiply the amount of money you can normally win. With offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you are any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5. That's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. That's promo code 5, FIVE. Go to PrizePicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you $100 of their dollars for you to play with, and get started winning today. All right, Eric, so we lost Ethan, so such is life. Well, it's going to be you and me. We'll hold it down. So here's the reality of the situation as I see it. The Miami Dolphins, still in the NFL, top 2 at this point. They are going up against the New York Giants, who have the 32nd, literally the worst offense in the NFL. So this is where it becomes one of those situations where, again, I have high expectations for this football team. And I should also mention that this is a team that, yes, they got their teeth kicked in by the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, I believe, were extremely upset over all this talk about how the Dolphins were the best offense and they're the number 1 team in the NFL. Buffalo took that very personally, very, very personally. And so they decided that, oh, no, you don't. We're going to absolutely destroy you on our own home field. So now in Jacksonville, the Jaguars right now are in London with the Bills, and they're holding their own. They are holding their own. So I don't want to put an asterisk on our loss or anything, but at the same time, it's obvious that the Bills are beatable. It's just don't rile them up if you don't need to. It's kind of one of those things. Now, when it comes to the Dolphins, though, they are about to face the New York Giants. The New York Giants are not a good football team. And not only are they not a good football team, they are expected to be without Saquon Barkley. So their top offensive weapon is gone. They're expected to be without pretty much all their starting offensive linemen. They are expected to not have really much of anything. So this is where the expectation thing comes into play again. And I look at these Miami Dolphins and say, you are at home. You are in Hard Rock Stadium. You are playing a team that is quite literally the bottom feeder of the NFL. If not, at the very least, they're one of the bottom 5 teams in the league. There is no excuse today for you to not have at least a double-digit victory over these New York Giants. And if you do not absolutely pulverize them, I'm going to look at you with a suspicious eye.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair assessment of this ball game. The Giants are limping into this one, injured as all get out. And even so, if they were completely healthy, I'm not sure how much of a difference it really would make with this Giants ball club. Don't get me wrong, they were fine last year, but I've just never been a believer in Daniel Jones as a quarterback, quite frankly. And their defense, they've got 2 rookie corners on the outside that are going to have to deal with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill all day. And they have one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. I think the Dolphins should be able to do anything that they want offensively, but I'm not really concerned with the offensive side of the ball in this one. This has to be a game where the defense is absolutely dominant. If there's anything less than dominance from the defense, then I'm on the same boat as you, Lewis. I'm kind of ringing the alarm bells here, because if you can't beat a team that's starting Matt Breida at running back, number one, and they're running out their pretty much their entire backup offensive line, you've got really big issues. The Seahawks sacked this Giants team 11 times last week. I need to see 4 or 5 today, at a minimum. I need to see 4 or 5 today from this Dolphins defense.
And we need to see one from Bradley Chubb.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, all the Miami's pass rushers, we haven't seen the inactive list. When we get the inactive list, I will go ahead and I will pull it up. But from all we can tell, Connor Williams should be playing. So like you said, you're not worried about the offense. Just a quick note, looks like the Buffalo Bills just scored again. So not yet. They haven't scored yet, I don't think. But either way, I'm looking at this whole situation and I'm saying that these Dolphins should have no excuse of losing this game. I'm going to go ahead and they just put out the inactive list. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull it up now. So these are the Dolphins who we should not expect to see in this game. And here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So, oops. All right, here we go. Once again, Skylar Thompson is inactive. He doesn't really count, though. He's the emergency quarterback. Kelvin Joseph, okay, special teams guy that we got from the Cowboys for Noah Igbenogany, whatever, no big deal. Jalen Phillips is out again. So this is going to be another Andrew Van Ginkel, Bradley Chubb game. This is one of those things where I would have liked to at least see Jalen Phillips pad his stats a little bit, but I don't feel like we should need Jalen Phillips to get to Daniel Jones. I really don't. The only way that I can see Daniel Jones doing much of anything against the Dolphins today is if he decides to take it upon himself to run for 100 yards, which is something he can do. I'm not going to take that away from him. He could conceivably do that. It's not like he hasn't done stuff like that before, but I'm looking at these Dolphins and saying, even without Jalen Phillips, you still have Andrew Van Ginkel, who seems like he's the best pass rusher on the team right now, believe it or not. You still have Bradley Chubb, who was supposed to be a really good pass rusher. You still have Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer up the middle, who are going to clog up those rushing lanes and maybe get a sack. That would be fantastic. So, like you said, if this is not a dominant football game by the Miami Dolphins defense, like I'm when I say dominant, I'm not saying you have to shut them out. I'm not saying that, but the Giants should not score more than 17 points at most. 2 touchdowns and a field goal. That's the only leeway I'm giving them. That's the Giants should not be scoring points. Not today.
No, I completely agree with that, and I'm fine with Jalen Phillips being out this week. Although I think it would be best if the team kind of found him a softer landing spot when he comes off of his injury. So hopefully maybe next week against Carolina, where he's not being thrown in, let's say, against the Eagles in 2 weeks. So I'd like to see Jalen Phillips kind of get a softer landing spot. I was hoping that would be this week. But with Chase Winovich being called up from the practice squad yesterday, we kind of had a feeling that he was going to be out. The other thing that and to your point about Daniel Jones, I do think he's going to kind of have to run for his life a little bit today, just given the state of his offensive line. I expect there to be a lot of running from the Giants, trying to play keep away from the Dolphins defense or from the Dolphins offense. But that's where you're going to need this, specifically the front seven, because I think we can all agree that the defensive backfield, while at times it hasn't been perfect with some of the personnel and the matchups that we want to talk about, but they've been significantly better than the front seven has been this year. So I think it's going to have to be the front seven. You can't let the Giants run for over 100 yards today. You can't, to your point, you can't let them score more than 17. Again, this is a game that it should be the Dolphins. This should be over by halftime. I I don't know how else to say it. Like you especially coming off of a loss to the Bills where you lose 48-20 and you get yourselves embarrassed in Orchard Park last week. You have to go out and you have to make a statement against inferior opponents. And I know that the statements against the inferior opponents don't really mean anything at this point. We want to see the Dolphins beat the good teams, but you have to beat the bad teams and make them look like bad teams. And how you do that is you win this game by going away 2 scores. I don't want to see 2 in the fourth quarter. Like I do want to see. I got to see them really just dominate this one.
And Darth Gojira saying that he's still shook from last night. He just wants the home team to win. Listen, I understand how you can feel traumatized by what happened with the Miami Hurricanes. As far as I'm concerned, Mario Cristobal, even as somebody who's not a Hurricanes or a fan or a college football fan in general, I am looking at this man and saying he should be fired immediately. Because how do you just not kneeling at the end of the game? You already have the lead. All you have to do is run the clock out, and you decide to give the other team the ball back with a fumble, and you lost the game. I completely understand why you feel the way that you feel. It is completely justified. But with that being said, the Miami Dolphins are not the Miami Hurricanes. They're not. The Miami Dolphins are a team that's coached by some of the best in the business. Even if you don't look at Vic Fangio as the best in the business right now, because we're all frustrated with what he's doing with his defense, or what he's not doing, I should say, we still have Mike McDaniel running that offense. And by the way, one of those inactives, Chase Claypool, doesn't surprise me even a little bit. Obviously, he just got there. He hasn't had the time to even remotely learn the offense, so I'm not worried about that. But he's still an offensive guru. He still has plenty of weapons at his disposal. He's got Tyreek Hill. He's got Jalen Waddle. He's got Braxton Berrios. So, by the way, the third wide receiver very, very smoothly. He has Robbie Chosen, who apparently still has that speed. It's not like he doesn't have it. He just doesn't seem to want to block very often. That's the only thing I can say about Robbie Chosen right now. And yes, I want them to blow up the Giants. Yes, that is exactly what you're saying. The Dolphins have their disposal, and now with Connor Williams back at center, and it's not Eichenberg anymore. Like, I understand the Dexter Lawrence thing. Like, people are looking at Dexter Lawrence and saying, "Oh my, he's gonna toast Tua and up the middle." Like, okay, but you have Connor Williams back, and you have Robert Hunt still at right guard, and Isaiah Wynn's playing okay. He's not superstar material or anything, but he's playing well. He's playing okay. So I don't expect Dexter Lawrence to just have a day against the Dolphins' offensive line. No. So the only thing that I can think of that would go absolutely horrible is if the Dolphins win this game, but they don't come away healthy. That's the only thing that I could say that, okay, well, that's something that I can't see coming, but it's still something that's going to put a bittersweet flavor on a victory today. Just stay healthy.
Yeah, and
don't let Tua get hurt.
Yeah. Yep. You gotta stay healthy in this one. I think it's important. I haven't gotten to see very many photos of how the field looks. I know there's a lot of concern about that after yesterday's game and some of the rain that they received yesterday. So keep an eye on those conditions. The other thing that looking at the inactive lists that stands out to me is Deshaun Elliott is back, which I think is a pretty under the radar kind of addition again, because we saw what Brandon Jones looked like against the Bills, and either he's not a fit for Fangio's system, which some people posited a little bit in the offseason, or he's just got mega rust. But he did not look good at all next to Javon Holland as a safety tandem. So getting him back, I think, is going to be another thing that's just absolutely massive for this defense. I guess I didn't give him enough credit for being a difference maker earlier on, but I definitely noticed his absence. That's the thing. It's gonna be you got to get the Giants behind the sticks, because they're going to want to control the time of possession. They're going to want to grind you into the dust. You got to get those stops on first down. You can't let them run for 5-6 yards, 1st and 10 every play. It's got to be, hey, we got to stop them 2-3 yards, get them into these 3rd and longs, force Daniel Jones to throw the ball downfield. And that's where he makes some mistakes. Lewis, you still there? All right. So I guess I'm running I can't hear you, Lewis. All right, so since it is just me at the moment, I do want to go into a little bit of Lewis, are you coming back, making a comeback? Not quite. So I do want to talk about some of the prize picks. I keep looking at Lewis because I keep thinking he's coming back. I do want to touch on some of the prize picks props in this game. Lewis, at getting up at 6 a.m. got the prized pick of the day, Devon Achane over 50.5 yards. Very jealous. I got that number at 55.5. Still love it. I expect the Dolphins to be able to run all over the Giants in this one. Getting Connor Williams back, the Dolphins are going to own the line of scrimmage against the New York Giants, even if Connor Williams didn't play. And this is something that I do want to touch on here because it was talked about a lot earlier on in the week. If Connor Williams doesn't play, the Dolphins are in trouble. If Liam Eichenberg can wreck your game against the New York Giants, then I think that this Dolphins team really needs to sit down and reevaluate where they are in the hierarchy of the NFL. For one, they might not be as close to contending as they think they are. Regardless, thankfully, we don't need to test that theory. With Connor Williams being back out there, I'm certainly glad that it's him instead of Eichenberg, but I just never thought it would have been the end of the world to have Eichenberg go out today. The other prize pick that I'm a big fan of in this one is going to be Jalen Waddle over 61.5 yards. Like I said, the Giants are going to be running out there. They've got 2 rookie corners. And then on top of that, there's going to be a lot of attention paid to Tyreek Hill, as always. And Jalen Waddle hasn't really had that pop game yet this year. I think this is going to be the big game for him. I think he goes over 100. I think he scores today. The Dolphins are going to make it a point to get him involved and get him going. He's just considering he's had a really slow start to the season this first quarter of the year or so. And I think that the Dolphins definitely want to get him ramped up and going again. Oh, Lewis, you back?
You never stopped moving for me, dude. I don't know what's going on. I am now standing in front of my old home, but hopefully this will be sufficient internet. In any case, you were talking about prize picks. So I pulled this up for you preemptively.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. So I was just telling the people, I love Devon Achane. I know you do too. You got him at 50.5. I'm kind of jealous. I got him at 55. Even still, I think that the number's attractive. Either way, I think he goes over 100 again today. And then my favorite in terms of the wide receivers, Jalen Waddle, 61.5. I think he's due for a big game. Any numbers you see, Lewis, that kind of speak to you there on the prize picks for the Dolphins?
I mean, I would still go ahead and put the push finishing touches on Devon Achane. Devon Achane. I can't get used to it. Devon Achane, even at 62.5, I still like that number a whole lot just because the way that the Dolphins are going to be running it, I feel like at this point they're going to be running the offense through him. Like they're going to look at this guy and say, hey, you're the guy now. You're the starter. You're the starting running back for this team. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Devon Achane has proven that he can get the job done. People were talking about how he was going to be special. People are even considering him potential for offensive rookie of the year. When if that is the case, then good for him and good on the Dolphins for drafting him in the 3rd round. I really like that a lot. The other thing that I really like is I'm going to go ahead and just scroll here a little bit to find it. Where is he? I am looking for Braxton Berrios. 27.5 receiving yards. I'm going to go ahead and I'll take that over. I feel like again, this offense should absolutely be getting targets to everybody. I think Tyreek will obviously get the most out of it, but Braxton Berrios has been a solid target for Tua as a backup option. So even last week against the Buffalo Bills, he still got the over on that number. So today with the Giants, I absolutely 100% expect him to get the over on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Braxton Berrios has kind of been the safety blanket for this Dolphins offense. whenever Tua seems to need a big play, whether it's third down, last year it felt like that guy was kind of felt like Sherfield and Craycraft were those guys for the Dolphins, and this year it seems like it's Braxton Berrios. And then another number that I like, I didn't get to play this one because I didn't actually get to see it. Durham Smythe over 22.5 yards.
Yep.
You can pencil him in for 2 or 3 catches, 24, 25 yards. I feel like he's the Trent Sherfield of this year. I mean, well, Braxton Berrios being the first one, but last year the Dolphins, you had Trent Sherfield's prop on PrizePicks, and you were hitting that pretty much every week. I feel like Smythe is kind of going to be that guy for the Dolphins, because I think that he just goes so far under the radar that his numbers are going to continue to be low 20s at the highest, and I think at that point it's just a steal.
How confident would you feel in the Tyreek Hill touchdown prop?
I could see this being a game where the Dolphins don't throw the ball across the yard as much as they normally might. I can see this kind of being a game where the Dolphins really lean into the run game and go 250 plus on the ground. So I probably wouldn't touch it. I think Tyreek, he'll get involved, but I just, like I said, I think
how about Devon Achane?
That's the one that I.
Which, by the way, he's still showing 0 for some weird reason. I don't know. I guess PrizePicks doesn't want to admit that Devon Achane is a dude. So,
yeah,
like even the rushing yards, they keep cranking up the rushing yards, but they don't want to. They almost, it's like they can't acknowledge that he's run the ball.
The last 2 weeks just don't exist.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, what? This didn't happen. Yes, it did. Get over yourselves. But in any case, so. We'll do our picks. We'll do our 0, our hero, and the final score. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go first. My picks are not going to be the same ones that I did on Pulse of Fins Nation on Tuesday because I've already forgotten them. So it's kind of a reaction thing. So Eric, you go first.
Your 0 today is unfortunately going to be Bradley Chubb. I think there will be a lot of Dolphins linemen that take advantage of the Giants' busted up offensive line, but I don't think Bradley Chubb will be one of them. And then your hero of today's ball game, I said it a few times earlier today. I think this is the Jalen Waddle breakout game. Devon Achane kind of goes without saying. I expect him to do what he does. But I do think that you're looking at Jalen Waddle's breakout today.
All right. My 0 for today, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's going to be, it's so hard. It's really hard to make the distinction. Because again, against the Giants team, I expect everybody to do well. But I think for me, I'll go ahead and say that my 0 is going to be Jerome Baker on defense. He's just not making any impact plays. He's not really doing much of anything. They keep saying that he's the quarterback of the defense. Okay, but anybody who learns the defense could potentially call out plays and make sure that adjustments are being made on the fly. That's, if you're going to be a guy who's going to be considered a starter, I expect you to have some level of playmaking ability. Like even a Landon Roberts, I even interacted with Chad Johnson on Twitter earlier this week saying that the Dolphins are missing a thumper because I miss a Landon Roberts. Landon Roberts was able to get through gaps, make plays behind the line of scrimmage. He was a bruiser, and this defense doesn't have that right now as a linebacker. And he disagreed with me saying, come on, man, I understand that the game has evolved. The game has evolved. Yes, it's much more pass-oriented. But a Landon Roberts made plays for these Miami Dolphins in Josh Boyer's scheme. So you're telling me that if we had an Landon Roberts who was able to play in the middle and was able to get in there on the obvious rushing downs, that we wouldn't have made a difference? I absolutely 100% believe that would have made a difference. So I do miss somebody like an Landon Roberts. I do miss a thumper. I don't think Jerome Baker is that kind of a player. He's the kind of guy that if I'm the Dolphins, the only thing I want Jerome Baker doing is blitzing, because that's what he does best. That's legitimately what he does best. Jerome Baker is a blitzing linebacker. He's a very Philip Wheeler type of linebacker. Now, I don't want to put them in the same sentence because Jerome Baker is a good player, much better than Philip Wheeler was. But if you're talking about what do they do best, what is their role, I would much prefer to have Jerome Baker as a rushing linebacker. As for my hero, I'm going to go ahead and just say it's going to be Devon Achane again. I think this is going to be another game where he goes over 100 rushing yards. So go ahead and take that over on Devon Achane's rushing, regardless of how much it has skyrocketed since it came up this morning. But I just feel like that this is going to be a game where they're going to look at him and say, listen, I don't need to throw the ball that much. You're the guy. Go score touchdowns for us. And as for my score, which, Eric, I don't think we got your score. I'm going to go ahead and say the Dolphins win this game 31-10. Again, I do not think the Giants should have any business moving the football, and I think the Dolphins should put up at least 30 on this team.
You got me there. I was gonna go 31 for the Dolphins. I don't wanna tie the same score, so I'll go 34-13 Dolphins over the Giants in this one. I was gonna go 31-13, but I can't do double 31. So 34-13 Dolphins win over the Giants.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll go ahead and we'll call it here. Everybody, thank you all so much for listening. Hopefully this game will go well and we'll be able to have a nice, relaxing game. Darth Gajira, hopefully you'll be able to feel a little bit better after this is all over. But if you want to have some things to want to look forward to, make sure you use that promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Go get that Devon Achane prop. Go get that Braxton Berrios prop. Go get the Tua prop. Listen, Tua's passing yards are always a fair bet. They even last week, he was still able to get really close to his number. So make sure you're using that promo code 5. That's FIVE. They will match up to $100 on your deposit. There's really no losing in this case. All right. That's going to be it for this show. Thank you all so much for listening. We will be here for post-game after the game is over, and we'll have plenty of panelists ready to react, and hopefully we'll be reacting in a good way. Until then, we will see you all later.
Later.